Hi, it's Dia. Today I'm going to be coloring from this magical advent calendar that was put together by Isabel Vestermark, otherwise known as Passionista Colorista. I'm going to be using 100 Crayola pencils. I'm going to be using this Tombow Mono Zero itty bitty little eraser, graphic gear 0.3 millimeter mechanical pencil, this Prismacolor colorless blender, this Posca white fine liner, Turpenoid to blend, and this very thin little brush to use the Turpenoid because this image is tiny. I wanted to use the Crayolas because I wanted to see if I could get an amazing look. I wanted to see if I could get a gorgeous picture on this really lovely calendar with only Crayola products. And yes, I did add other things like the eraser and the blender, but I figured that was fair because I would use them for any other supplies that I would be coloring with also. I thought I might use a little bit of watercolor first, but you know what? I kept the picture as tiny as it printed, and it's pretty small. So I figured I would just use colored pencils. And the first thing that I decided was to use a kind of pine green tealish background and sharpen those pencils a little bit sharper than they were when they came in the box. And then I figured, you know what? I'm going to do any of the highlights first because I wanted those mushrooms to look like they were bioluminescent. And I figured I would have to do the light first because it's kind of hard to go over colored pencil with a lighter colored, dark colored pencil with a lighter colored pencil once you've already done it without erasing it. And even then, there's still some in the background. So here I am using the neon. There's a couple of neons in that set. And I didn't know how they were going to blend or if I was going to be able to layer at all with these Crayolas. Now, I never used the 100 set before. I think I used the 50 set. And I have to say, I like Crayolas. They're not a bit amazing and stupendous like Prismacolors or Polychromos, but I have to say, I like them. And I do like them, so I wanted to see if indeed I could get a gorgeous result like I said that I wanted to at the beginning. In plain English, I wanted to see if I could get beautiful results using cheap supplies, or if we have to spend $1 million for our art. And back to this beautiful advent calendar that was put together by Isabel Vestermark. I can't say enough about it. She put this together basically as a gift to the coloring community from the coloring community. And it's just amazing. Everyone is featured on it. Well, not everyone, but so many people that you probably know and love. And I was lucky enough to be asked to be part of this also. So I am day 17, and I figured I would just do a little color along for day 17. So what I did with, back to Isabel for 2 seconds. She has a podcast, Passionista Colorista. I will put all the links below. If you have anything to do with coloring and you like coloring, I hope you find her because her podcast is pretty wonderful. So as you can see at this point, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth, and I realized that there is a string of lights around the big mushroom, so I kind of wanted them to appear like they were glowing too. So it got a little bit complicated. So I said, do I want the lights to be on? Do I want them to be the same color as the mushrooms? I decided to make them all different colors. And I kind of went through a couple of different ideas with them. I was going to make them bright. I was going to make them glow. And then I didn't know how to do it. So I kind of was just winging it. So right here, I was putting a little bit of the same color around the outside of the light, but I was pushing much more, well, with much less pressure. Because if I didn't do that, I thought as I was coloring the background, I would just cover right over that, and then I wouldn't be able to get that glowing effect. So right about here, I was looking at the work so far, and I realized that everywhere I colored looked pretty gritty and not smooth at all. And I'm not the neatest colorer on the earth, but I was wondering about the outcome right here. And then I thought, oh, you know what? I can always transfer the image over to my iPad and put it on Procreate and put some digital work on top of it. And then I thought everybody would be mad at me because probably everybody doesn't have one. And so I was determined to just keep it as a Crayola picture. I was also worrying a little bit about my color choices. I wasn't in love with the background color. I kind of thought it was going to be a little more muted or something. If any of you don't have this Advent calendar, I'll put the link below so you'll be able to download it for yourself also. You'll be happy if you do. You'll see familiar names like Joanna Basford, Laura Rafferty. I'm trying to think of some more. Oh, Ruby Color Charms. Oh, I'm distracted because I'm looking at what I'm doing. Okay, that was a pine green. And I'm going over the red with a little bit of a darker red. I'm sorry that I didn't keep track of the colors from the set, but I was going back and forth so quickly. And the colors are pretty obvious, except for maybe the middle color in the mushroom. I think that was yellow-orange. And you know what? If you don't have the set, or you're using even a different medium, it's fine. You can follow along exactly, or you can do your own interpretation. Oh, I'm just putting in some shadows there. I was going back and forth between gray, a little bit of purple. I like to use purple or violet for shadows, especially in a picture that's already got a lot of brights, because it adds some kind of other dimension. I think it's beautiful. I also realized that the yellow, the bright yellow in this set, if you color over it, the yellow doesn't get covered up, so it stays bright and luminous, so it's really good for glowing effects. So here I sharpened up the Prismacolor colorless blender, and I wanted to see how the Crayolas worked with the Prismacolor or any kind of blender. I actually ended up going over that again with, well, not again, but I blended again, but I used Turpenoid with a brush. You can see how much better it looks. Bingo, right there. I skipped over a little bit, but you could see how much better that looks blended in. Somewhere in the middle of every single picture that I do, a voice starts to creep in my head and say, why are you bothering? You know that this is going to be awful. It's not going to work, and you're going to have to start over. And I'm not sure where that came from. I didn't have mean people telling me these things when I was growing up, or people don't say this to me now. So I started to think about that. Do we have this weird innate self-doubt thing? So I don't know. I'm going to have to look that up a little bit more. Tell me if you want me to find out more about that, because that is a sneaky little thing that if you really listen to it, I would never finish anything. So I just choose to override that. Oh, here's a little part of the right-hand side of the picture. There's actually a third mushroom that I guess got cut out of the image because it is so tiny. So I chose to go over it with the background color just because I didn't want it to get all muddled up with all the other things going on in the picture. I'm just taking a couple of cocoa browns here and some beiges, and I'm giving the underneath parts of the mushrooms and the littler mushrooms some detail. I left the tiny mushrooms very plain because I thought that if I made them all different colors, it would just be too much. So I left them beigey. At one point I was thinking, am I going to have to put on a double pair of glasses? Because I did print this out smaller because I didn't want it to take a very long time to color. I wanted to leave it, meaning I wanted you to be able to see the whole thing, and I didn't want to have to do it for 2 hours. So it's very tiny. So yeah, I was wondering if I had to pull out the second pair of readers or something, but it all worked out. Actually, I also realized how much I like coloring smaller areas. You can complete the picture in a timely fashion, and it's very satisfying. So I decided to go over the background again with the teal, a little bit darker. I was going to go over the background after I blended it and just make little tiny blades of grass, but I think it was too small. And then at the very end, I did use that Graphic Gear 3mm, just a regular mechanical pencil, and I did go in with some details. But I didn't feel like that green was enough for the background. Actually, that teal was enough to make the other parts of the image pop enough. So I'm wondering if anyone is done Christmas shopping or holiday shopping. I think I got all screwed up because Thanksgiving was a little bit late. And then I had the flu or something, and I came out of my flu fog, and it's around the corner. So I have to get going. Oh, you know what I'm doing here? I'm taking, I think that's the purple, and I wanted to make shadows around those dots to make the dots look like they're a bit puffy or that they're standing out from the rest of the mushroom. I kind of wanted to give it a 3D effect. So I thought that since there was lights coming off the bottom, that the shadows would happen on the top. I'm filling in the white part a little bit because even though that part is white, there would still be a little bit of a shadow. I hope if you like this video and if you like this advent calendar, you might give this a share or a like, or maybe even subscribe to me. You can hit the bell, that way you won't miss any of my videos. And once again, you can look below in the information box, and there'll be all the links to all the products that I used, to Passionista Colorista's podcast, and anything else that's used in this video. So if I squint my eyes right here, I like the way it looks from a distance, or you sort of a little bit blurred out, but after being used to using Prismas and some other very nice pencils, these are a little bit harder to get neat looking, meaning they're not as smooth and they don't blend as well. Also, they didn't accept many layers. So if you're a person who kind of goes in there and has a heavy hand and doesn't layer a lot, these are probably right up your alley. And they're very inexpensive. And I did not dislike using them, other than the fact that it took a little bit more to get the image to look where I was happy with it. Okay, here's that graphic gear tiny little lead pencil, because I couldn't get those pencils. Well, I could get them to sharpen, but they kind of feel a little waxier than other pencils, so you can't get the fine details. So I kind of came to terms with the fact that I was going to do a lot of the details with that graphic gear pencil. So now I wanted to see if I could blend the image and then maybe get some layers after I blended the wax a little bit. It didn't help a lot. If you look in the corner up by the leaves, you can see that I added a darker leaf underneath the lighter leaves, and it wasn't easy to do. So I thought that I would, rather than trying to do it and force it, I would try to blend everything in and then see if it was easier to put more layers on top after I used the turpenoid. So the answer was yes, it was easier. I first went in with the pencil. It was less glossy. I think you probably know what I mean. If you put too many layers from those Crayolas, or sometimes even any pencil, it almost gets glossy and glassy and you can't really do much. Everything sort of slides around. And you can see that I put another darker layer, and it was much better after I blended everything in with that turpenoid. So now I was starting to like it. So you can see it took a minute. Well, a lot of minutes. Okay, here I'm adding leaves, but I'm using the regular mechanical pencil. I'm adding some details to the background, and I'm also adding details to the foreground and in the mushroom, and I could get all the little lines and depth that I couldn't with the pencil, with those Crayola pencils. So I also learned something about drawing in general, and I already knew this, but sometimes it's interesting when you know something in theory, it doesn't really apply as much until you actually discover it for yourself. So what I discovered was, if you have an image and you kind of like it, it's looking okay. So one of the reasons that it might not be the best is that you don't have certain areas in it that are dark enough. So you might not have enough shadow. You might not have enough. Your colored pencils just might not be rich enough to get all the detail and all the depth that you need. So that's what was going on here. I was going back and adding that dimension with that graphic gear mechanical pencil. And it started to come to life even more. Then I shook up my Posca, and I thought that I would add some light areas around the Christmas lights that are around the mushroom. I was having a little problem trying to make those stand out, but then in the end I just sort of made like little dots and lines, and it worked out okay. So I'm going back in one more time and smoothing out that background as much as I could. And I thought that at this point I would give it a thumbs up. I like the way it came out. I don't think there's anything wrong with it at this point. I almost want to do it again in Prismacolors or Polychromos just to see what it'll look like for comparison. And I want to thank Isabel Vestermark once again for doing this lovely Advent calendar and for offering it to the entire coloring community. And I want to thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a lovely holiday season. If you don't watch any of my if you don't watch any more of my videos until then, I wish you and yours all the best, and I hope everyone is happy and healthy. So I would say that I did end up liking it, and I would probably use Crayolas again. And for anybody who's starting out, or I'm sorry that the camera's shaking a little bit. For anybody who's starting out, I think these are awesome. So once again, thank you for watching, and I'm so glad that you're all here. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. And happy holidays, and mwah, bye.